Hey everybody, it is, excuse me, Tuesday, and I've forgotten what day. The 14th. We have made it to Tuesday, April 14th, 2020. What a year. Louie is going by to pick up my curbside from the grocery store. Thank you, Louie. And we'll get a chance to sit in the backyard together at a socially distanced distance so that I can actually see him for a few minutes in a mask. Found a costume maker, there goes Lois, found a costume maker in San Antonio, or San Marcos, who they have switched over and are making masks. So I'm getting a few from him, and I'm trying my hand at it, but I figured it was safer to do both. My skills are rusty and old, but I don't do too badly. And today we are going to read chapters 27 through 29 from the Lyra Chronicles. That's probably Diane or Grace. Hello to both of you. And I'm sure Nancy and Mike will be here today as well. It's a lot of fun. We have a few chapters to go. I looked it up and there's 35 altogether. So we got a few days. We'll probably finish up this week and then next week start with a new book. And every day you can catch what you missed or catch up on this one on YouTube. Thank you, Grace. She is the best. She puts them up on the YouTube channel. Thank you for sending me pictures, by the way, of where you are sheltering in place and what your view looks like. Those are great. And I think some of you can give me great gardening tips. The weather here is great. It's a little cooler than normal. And, you know, around here, soon it will get into the 90s and hang there. So I will take every cool day I can get, and so will the dogs. They love it. Took them on a walk today. There's Lois. Oop, went the wrong way. There's Lois. And Leela's right behind me as well. And boy, do they sprint around the block when it's cooler out. So without further ado, let's get into chapter 27, and we're going to read through chapter 29 today from Guardians of Magic, from the Lyra Chronicles, and let's get going. Louis jumped back through the portal from Orisarin, a few new trinkets in his pockets, his sword safely on his back. He jumped into the living room of the condo General Anderson was providing for him, happy to have a home again. It was government-issue basic, but still better than what he was used to in his makeshift cabin on Orisarin. Be prepared, the sword whispered in his ear. His senses went on high alert, and he let the portal close and turned on the lights. Swinging around with his sword out, his lip curled into a sneer. Relax, scavenger. Lyra was sitting in his favorite recliner, her legs crossed, waiting for him in the dark. Excuse me. Good way to get yourself killed. What the hell are you doing here? Is there a mission? He blew the air out of his lungs, puffing out his cheeks as he put his sword back in its sheath. I thought you had given up scavenging. Don't bother to lie. That will make things worse. I believe you decided for me. I never agreed. Look, it's in my nature. I see something pretty that's just lying around. I want it. Just knowing there's a lot of pretty things left out there lying around is hard to resist. Resisting temptation is not exactly in your nature either. Louis gave a crooked smile. Oh, there's a dog walking by. Come here. Louis gave a crooked smile. Not exactly, no. Besides, had to check on Ronnie. I'm the little guy's best friend. Not cool to neglect friendships. He went to the refrigerator and looked inside for a cold Shiner Bock. Have you tried these? So much better than that swell at the Rusty Bucket in the dark forest. I came to tell you I don't need your services anymore. I'm making a career change, heading out on my own. Louis stopped the bottle halfway to his lips, but took a long swallow anyway. Heading out on your own in a family band? Heading out on your own to discover the world? That's a pretty broad statement. He took a seat on the blue couch that had seen better days and sagged to one side. Lyra sat up on the edge of the seat, resting her arms on her knees. When we started this little arrangement, things were actually simpler, believe it or not. There were artifacts popping up everywhere and human beings trying to grab them first. Pretty straightforward. I still had a job to do, and out I'm a Jasper Elf. I'm still a Texan. That overrules anything. Interesting rule book. Things have changed. I suppose you're referring to Big Bad Lucius. That's right, I heard about his name, even his background. Good guy cursed to magic hell. That kind of thing is the best kind of gossip. It's all they're talking about in the dark market. Shifters are the hot topic. There's even a rumor that Rosden has resurfaced. That one true? Lyra gave him her best dead fish look, not saying anything. I'll take that as a non-committal committal. That's very interesting. He leaned back on the couch, crossing his foot over his knee, the small artifacts he found shifting in the pouch, still tight around his waist. I can see where something like that would put a different perspective on things. You tell Jackson? Leave my father out of it. Fuck it, leave my family out of it. This isn't an explanation, only a goodbye. Appreciate you not ghosting me. Anderson might have cut me loose without warning, and I hear the Silver Griffins are still a little hot about a few unauthorized trips to this side of things. His pouch clinked as he moved. These are all Orosarans, still up for grabs. Lyra got up to go. I wish you well. You're not a bad guy. Frankly, you fought really well back at the vineyards. It would have been a lot worse without you. You showed up outside of the house at just the right moment. A minute longer. Louis thought about the book in the library. All about the choices we make. Hey, here's a crazy idea. Let me join you. Come on, don't roll your eyes. You're going to need backup, and it can't come from a human. They're not equipped for all this. You need someone who's not only magical, but has a few street smarts and has been tested in battle. I have fought off my fair share of Kilamia's angry gnomes and slimy things I don't even know the name for. He held out his hands, the beer in one of them, shrugging his shoulders. What do you say? Thanks anyway, not what I had planned. Louis quickly set down the beer and blocked her path. Come on! None of this is what you'd planned, right? Not what I had planned. More of the same unplanned shit is coming our way. I have skills you can use. Give me a shot, and if it doesn't work, like I end up dead or something, then we part ways. No harm, a little foul. You're not good at taking no for an answer. I suck at it. Women find it charming. Young ones, anyway. Call me old again, asshole, and see how well this goes for you. Wasn't referring to you. See you more as gender neutral. Lyra glared at him, but started laughing despite her convictions. Fine, a trial period that I will probably regret. You won't, I swear. Are we staying in Austin? Do I need to find a new place to live? I mean, this place isn't much, but the bed's not bad, as long as you don't mind rolling toward the center. Stop talking. We're relocating to D.C. soon. Be ready. You fuck up at all and you're out, Louis. That includes disappearing on scavenging trips without notice. You do that, don't come back. Got it, done. Partners. No, not partners. Not sure what we are, but not partners. You take orders from me. We go out there and see if we can hold off mass chaos just a little longer. Sounds like fun. Me and my sword are all in. Hi, Mike. Hi, Kristen. Hi, Dennis. We're on to chapter 28. And Lois is by my side, reluctantly. Lyra slipped in through the side gate as a cheer went up from the bar. Lyra! Estelle snapped a towel at Craig and Mike, sitting closest to her from where she stood behind the bar. How many times have I told you not to do that? More times than I can count. Mike let out a laugh and jumped out of the way before Estelle could land another one on him. Good one, Estelle, said Cassidy, picking up her iced tea to keep it out of harm's way. Estelle took out her cigarette and blew a perfect trio of O's as she watched Lyra give a wave and keep walking for the guest house. She squinted her eyes through the smoke and grabbed 2 bottles of beer, easily popping off the tops as she jumped down from her box and walked across the patio. I think Estelle is shrinking. Shh, Scott, if she hears you, said Mitzi as she slipped a piece of cheese to Lemon sitting by her stool. One of these days we're going to look over at the bar and all we'll see is a red bouffant and a cloud of smoke. Kimberly smiled and gave Lemon a little of her watermelon. That's all I can see now if I'm sitting on the patio. Estelle turned back to stare down the regulars, who all quickly swiveled on their stools facing the bar again. She let out a deep, raspy laugh and turned back to the guest house, putting on another quick coat of her favorite deep red lipstick. She gave a soft rap and waited for Lyra to open the door just wide enough to see who it was, with Estelle holding up the beers. Lyra knew better than to try and talk Estelle out of coming in and opened the door wide, while waving behind her back at the troll to go find someplace else to be. She heard a loud tsk as he reluctantly let go of the remote and scrambled for the pantry in the kitchen. Might as well settle down in a discount cheese puffs container for the duration, he squeaked. Lyra kept her eyes on Estelle, hoping she didn't hear a thing as she came inside. Something on your mind? Estelle looked around for a place to stub out her cigarette, leaving it in her mouth even as it became more ash than cigarette. Lyra caught on and went into the kitchen to grab a mug to act as a makeshift ashtray. She glanced in the pantry and saw Yumfa plastered against the inside of the large plastic container. Most of his fur was already tinged in orange, and he was busy licking orange dust off the inside. Remind me to tell Cork to not eat whatever you leave, she whispered. The troll cackled and gave her a wink. Like I'll leave some. Good one, he squeaked. At the last moment, Lyra grabbed a damp washcloth and draped it over the opening of the container. She headed back for the living room, already seeing tiny orange prints dotted here and there. How did he do that so fast? She turned on the radio that sat on a nearby shelf and turned it low to hide the smacking sounds coming from the pantry and kept walking. Estelle had a thing about cigarette butts on the ground. She dropped what was left into the mug and slid an unlit cigarette into her mouth before completely walking into the living room, keeping her own rule about not smoking in the guest house. It was all out of respect for Lyra, so she would know this was her home. Estelle handed over one of the beers and sat down on the couch as she took a long, slow swig, the unlit cigarette still dangling from the corner of her mouth. That'll do. Estelle tapped her cigarette on the edge of the mug out of habit, deftly holding the beer in the same hand, putting it back in her mouth. You want to tell me what's going on? She leveled her gaze at Lyra, not blinking or looking away. How the fuck does she do that? How did you know? Not hard, dearie. You have tells. If anyone would bother watch. What's going on? You look like you have the weight of the world on your shoulders. That's probably a little overstated. She paused, looking around at the guest house. My home for the past 4 years. I got a new job offer, but it's in D.C. Estelle chewed on the end of the cigarette, making a bobble in her mouth. Is it a good job? It's a great opportunity to do some good. That's not a lie. So we're talking a move here, out of Texas and into foreign territory. Not sure I'd classify Washington, D.C. as foreign. Not Texas, and it's a company town, and the company is politics, and the politics change every few years, and so do the people. And it's not Texas. Lyra gave her a crooked smile. Well, when you put it that way, I can see you've already made up your mind. Lyra felt a sense of relief come over her. Estelle was right. She had made up her mind to go. But leaving was harder than she expected it to be. I just found some kind of roots. My roots. Put together some kind of family. Everyone's in a good place. Makes it hard to go. Found a good man who's easy on the eyes. Estelle slapped her knee and leaned closer. It should be hard to go, little lady. I'd be worried about you if it was easy, and you just left me a note on the counter. Your family is here, and I'm including myself and all those people at the bar who don't seem to have anything better to do with their day. God bless them. I'll come back to see you. Of course you will. And I'll miss this place. She looked around at the tiny room. So much happened inside these walls. Some of it was the best times of my life. The bracelet slid down her wrist as she twisted the sapphire ring on her finger. Oh, honey, this is still your home. Hell, this was storage before you came along. This place will always be here just for you as your home. That's not changing as long as I'm alive. Lyra leaned in, risking a snappy rebuke. Just how old are you? Are you part elf? Have you been around for a few hundred years? Are you some kind of alien? Thought Lyra. Estelle winked and smiled as the cigarette pointed up toward her nose. That's a mystery lost to time. Better if it's kept right there, too. Let's just say you have a home in the great state of Texas where you can always come home and find the people that love you and know you best. Take that worry off your plate. Go out into the world and put the bow-back slappy ass on the bad guys. I'll sleep better at night knowing you're out there. She put her hand gently on Lyra's knee. And when you need a reminder, you come back here and we'll sit at the bar and talk about bowling or Barton Creek and share a little brisket. It's a deal. She leaned over and wrapped her arms around Estelle's small, bony shoulders, hugging her close, breathing in the smell of tobacco and Shalimar. Thank you for everything. Wasn't nothing, dear. It's what you do for family. Better get back outside before those regulars of mine start serving themselves and pestering the waitstaff. We have a bowling practice to get to. Need to defend our title. Lyra saw Estelle to the door and went into the kitchen to find the troll sitting on the edge of the table, wrapped in the cloth. There were smears of orange on every surface except on the troll. He kind of got the point. We're moving? He was sitting very still, waiting for an answer. We are. Didn't think how this would affect the tiny dude. You okay with that? Hagen coming too? Lyra hesitated, but answered him quietly. No, buddy. He's going to stay back here in Austin, but we'll stay in touch. Same with Mom and Nana. What about Korik? That's an interesting question. Don't exactly have an answer for that one yet. He held out his tiny paw, and Lyra held out her hand as he stepped into her palm. This is a part of life. Everything changes, even if you're trying not to evolve, and standing still is not in your nature, he squeaked. Thank goodness. You're like a tiny little Yoda of my very own who eats an amazing amount. Yumfuck cackled, leaning back in her hand, his paws behind his head. It takes far more courage to walk forward than it does to stand still, even when it's for the best reasons. But then you find out that the world is a pretty good place to hang out. On to the next adventure out there. What kind of food do they have in D.C.? That's a good question. I have no idea. We'll find out together. Let's get this part straight. Do they have bacon, Cheetos, and Dr. Pepper? Yeah, that much I can guarantee. Then we're good. We can figure out the rest. I like a little dude with priorities. The troll let out a soft trill. Yumfuck hits the road. Hey, David. Nice to see you back here again. We are on to chapter 29. And hello, everybody who's watching from Grace's watch party. Lyra knocked on the familiar bungalow, standing back, waiting for Hagen to answer. She came with a hot pizza from Home Slice, extra pepperoni, just the way Hagen liked it. She was hoping that would make breaking the news a little easier. The troll was tucked in her pocket with his own piece of pepperoni. He was trying to make it last, but finished it in 3 bites, peeking out of her pocket at the box. Lyra knocked again and peered through glass panes in the front door as Hagen came barreling down the stairs, his shirt only partially tucked in and his hair in disarray. He opened the door with one large pull, sweeping his hand to the side, not saying anything. You don't look so hot. You okay? Brought pizza. Lyra took in the deep circles under his eyes and the soft puffy cheeks as she found her way to the kitchen, setting down the pizza. The troll squirmed his way out of Lyra's pocket, jumping onto the kitchen island and lifting the lid to the box, breathing in deeply. Lyra ignored Yumfuck and kept watching Hagen. Something is off. I recognize that look from long stakeouts when we were looking for something really bad. He hasn't slept. Hagen followed her, moving around the kitchen, making tea and setting out a tray, still not saying anything. He was lost in thought. Lyra put her hand on his arm to get him to stand still for a moment. She waited till he looked her in the eye. What's going on? Hagen's shoulders sagged and he looked down for a moment, blowing out a breath as he put his hands on his hips. It's Rose, he said quietly. Something's wrong. We thought it was the flu at first, but the doctors say it's her heart. She caught something and it traveled to her heart. We didn't know it was happening. His voice broke as he got out the last words. He looked up at Lyra, his eyes shining. I can't lose Rose. Yumfuck poked his head out of the box, the remains of a pizza slice in his hand and a smear of grease across his face. He dropped the slice and stepped out of the box, looking from Lyra to Hagen. Hagen tried to manage a smile. You know it's bad when Yumfuck puts down greasy food to listen. I really must look bad. What can they do for her? Lyra found a dish towel and wiped off the troll's face, putting him up on her shoulder. Damn doctor said to make her comfortable. Talk to hospice. They're giving up. He hissed through his teeth. I'll be damned if I give up that easy. An idea came over him and he became animated, waggling his fingers in the air. Can you pull off some kind of magic thing? Make her better? I have no idea. But I'm willing to try. She squeezed his hand. What if we pool the resources? Fuck me if Rosden turns out to hold the answer. Can Rose be moved? I say we take her to the sanctuary and ask the gardener of the dark forest. What about that hellion Rosden? I hate to even say it out loud, but she knows so much magic. Dark magic. She's well versed in how to twist someone into something unrecognizable. Not so much in repairing things, but the gardener is the opposite. Isn't he more of a veterinarian at heart? I mean, not that I'm unwilling, but he's the best practitioner of the healing arts that I know of and has trained himself in healing organic matter. I don't think it matters what species. Worth asking, and after that rescue you pulled off with his son, Would have done that either way. Hagen shook his head, waving his hand in the air. No question. Wasn't trying to bargain for something. Lyra gave a crooked smile to her old friend and partner. A good cop to the end. I know. It's just who you are. The gardener is kind of mythical when it comes to helping the outside world. You, though, will be an exception. Come on. I'll help you get Rose ready. We can carry her through a portal. What happened to the rule about using magic on Earth, and especially portals? Don't need the silver griffins on our tail. Fuck the rules. Lyra followed Hagen down the hall and up the stairs. Hagen looked back at her with a surprised expression. That's new. Okay, I still get off on rules, but let's say I'm catching on that every group has their own set. Not going to be able to follow them all. It's a new world. May have to come up with some of my own, and near the top of the list is going to be, I don't let loved ones suffer in order to keep any of the other rules. Fuck that philosophy. I'm coming up with my own rules. Next rule is, fuck the other rules. I'm going to rewrite justice. I like this idea. Lyra 2.0 with the gloves off. Look out, world. Probably past due. Stop fighting magical demons with worn-out rules made up by others. Lyra stepped into the bedroom and saw Rose propped up with pillows, breathing oxygen from a mask. Rose looked up at Lyra with the same kind brown eyes and held out her hand. Lyra took it, gently squeezing. She pulled in energy through her feet, letting her eyes glow and the symbols appearing along her arms as Rose's eyes widened in surprise. She sent a ribbon of magic energy through Rose, setting an intention, and watched her skin pink up. Lyra felt the connection and pulled back. Rose's heart could only take so much energy. What is it? Why are you stopping? Hagen paced at the end of the bed. It's not working. I'm not fixing her heart, just making it work harder to keep up. I could easily overtax her. Come on to plan B. That is the end of today's. Chapter 30 will be tomorrow. And we'll probably finish the book by the end of the week. Hi, John. I'm glad everybody's here. It's a good book, even though the author said it. I hope you all are having a good day, and that you're finding pieces of joy in the middle of the day. Louie's out there picking up my curbside order from H-E-B. They're amazing. They've done a great job. Sorry about the clearing the throat through the whole thing. There's still allergies in the middle of a pandemic. Go figure. It's like Hood and Nature cut us a little slack. I hope you all have a good day. I'm going to get back to working on the next Lyra book, June 29th. It all starts again. And I hope you guys find a little joy in the day. I love you all. Keep writing to me. Love the pictures. Those are an awful lot of fun to see where you're sitting. And I need to do a tour of the house for you guys, the house the troll built. And so we'll get that accomplished too. Thank you all. Have a great day. And I will see you tomorrow. Same time, same channel.